Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzubillahi Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Rabbishrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidna 'ilman nafi'a warzuqna fahman wasi'a. Amin 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 ya rabbal alamin. Alhamdulillah. Again today we are gathered to continue our class. First of all, welcome to all the students, whether here or in Unity or online. Okay. And inshallah today we will continue our session with a new surah. Okay, with a new surah. Last week we covered Surah Al-Inshiqaq. Last 2 weeks, in fact, we covered Surah Al-Inshiqaq. And today we're going to cover Surah number 83. Surah number 83, Surah Al-Mutaffifin. Al-Mutaffifin, Surah Al-Mutaffifin meaning defrauding, and we'll talk about the details, the meaning of Surah Al-Mutaffifin. Before we go into this surah, let's try to get acquainted with the surah. Let's be introduced to the surah. Okay, let's go through the introduction of this surah before we go into the tafsir, the tadabbur of this surah. Okay, so this surah is a Makkiyah surah. It is sent in the late Makki period. So as we know, the Quran is sent down over a period of 23 years, right? And 13 years in Makkah, and then 10 years in Medina. And those period before Hijrah, the revelation that was sent down before that is called Makkiyah, and the revelation that is sent down after that is called Madinan Surah. And this surah is Surah Makkiyah. Okay, and Surah Makkiyah tends to talk about Akidah, tends to talk about the belief in Tawheed, tends to talk about the Day of Judgment, tends to talk about Risalah. However, there is a couple of different opinions when it comes to this surah. As I said earlier, this surah, according to the scholar, is late Makki surah. In fact, it is believed to be the last surah that was sent down before Hijrah. And in fact, there are some opinion where they say that some part of this surah actually is sent down after the Prophet arrived in Medina. So there's an opinion, there's a saying that is attributed to Ibn Abbas that says that the first 4 surah, okay, the first 4 verses that was for this surah, the first 4 to 6 verses of this surah, right, was revealed in early Medina period where the Prophet just arrived after Hijrah. Okay, so again, this is the general opinion of the scholar. The strong opinion is this is Surah Makkiyah. However, this is very very late Makkiyah, right before Hijrah, or as some scholars say, some of the verse come right after the Prophet arrived in Medina. So not long after the Prophet arrived in Medina. And the reason why this is an interesting point is because when you look into the content of this surah, right, it talks of course about the Day of Judgment. It talks about some of the things that is in Akidah, things that we do not see. It talks about the outcome in the Day of Judgment, but it also talk about muamalat. Okay, later on in this session we will talk about that, but there are verses in this surah that talk about muamalat. And what is muamalat? So in Islam you have Akidah, we talk about that, that's the belief, that's the creed, but you have also ibadah. You know, ibadah, that's our deeds, the prayers, the zakat, salat and all these things. But you have muamalat. Muamalat is business dealings, buying, selling, transaction. So this surah talk about muamalat. This surah talk about rulings when it comes to muamalat. So a lot of the verses when it comes to the rules, to the law, regulation, come in Madinah. So this surah is a bridge between Makkiyah and Madani. You start to see at the very early phase after Hijrah, or at the very last phase before Hijrah, you see Allah sent down verses relating to some rules and regulation, and it is talking about muamalat. So in verse number 2, number 3 and number 4, which we will cover, we'll see this particular verses is talking about business transaction, business dealings. And understand that muamalat versus about economy, transaction, buying, selling, what is halal, what is prohibited, this is all part of Sharia. Okay, Sharia is not just about praying, it's not just about fasting, it's not just about what we do when it comes to relationship between us and Allah. Sharia also covered things that is involving our relationship between us and other fellow men. So this is the domain of Islam. It teaches us not just about our relationship with God, but about our relationship with other people. And one interesting point that was taught by my Sheikh about this is that, look at this very interesting observation. Even though this surah is sent down in the late Makki period, at the time when the Prophet was being persecuted, at the time when the Prophet was running away, from Mecca, going to Madinah to find a more stable place to live, at that time, he is not established as a leader of a nation. He's not established as a leader of a country. But even at that time, Allah already sent the verses that talks about laws and regulation. Okay, so why is it the case? Normally you would think that the laws and regulation would come when the Muslim is already in power, when Rasulullah SAW has already been appointed as the leader, then the laws and regulations should come. But here you see, this surah is sent down in the late Makki period, in the early Madinan period, some of the verse, and it's already talking about laws and regulation. Why is it that this verse come down around that time? That is because to show the principle in Islam. Okay, Islam came down with some very strong principle to guide human life, and it does not keep quiet. Okay, Islam come to teach and to revolutionize the human to be a better people, to be and to form a better society. It does not compromise. It is not a political thing where it only talk about something when we are in a strong position. It is not an opportunistic religion where it only talks about something when it is beneficial for them. You know how sometimes some people, when they are weak, they say something else. When they are strong, then they say something else. Or when it is beneficial for them, they say something else. When it is not beneficial for them, they say something else. So Islam is not like this. Even when the Prophet is fleeing from Makkah to Madinah, even when he does not have a seat of power, even when he does not have any influences, much influences, unlike when later on in Madinah, the verses of the Quran has already started to come to teach us, to tell the believers, to tell the Prophet to uphold what is right, to go against what is wrong, to fight against injustice. So Islam does not compromise when it comes to the principles. And that is one of the reasons why the mushrik, the kuffar, rejected Islam. Because they understand that the message of Islam encompasses everything. Okay? It wants you to submit in all field of life. Not just at home, not just in the masjid, but also in the market, also in the working place. So unlike the modern world where you have this belief of separation between the church and the state, whatever the business of the church is different, whatever the business of the state is different, and this we know, secularization. Islam does not believe in that. Islam is not just in the masjid. Or we go to the masjid, we pray, we listen to the lectures and all that, and then we go to the business, we forget about Islam. We go to the market, we forget about Islam. We cheat and we swindle other people. So Islam is not like that. Islam tells you that the principle of Islam, the principle of truth, the principle of justice, the principle of kindness is a principle that is to be upheld regardless in the masjid, outside of masjid, in the office, at your home, when you are alone, when you are within the society, when you are with your relative, or when you are with your enemy. So Islam teaches us that. So that's why you see Surah Al-Mutaffifin came down with these rulings, came down with this injunction to be fair, to be equitable when you are doing business, even though at that time the Muslim are weak. The Muslim is not a strong political or economical power at that time. So understand that, right? So, and this again, like I said, is the main problem of the people who do not want to accept Islam, because they understand, first they don't want to change. Islam come to change, to revolutionize, to make people into better people, to change the society into better society, but there are people who are benefiting from the status quo who do not want to change. They cannot withstand, they cannot agree with the position of Islam where it does not compromise on certain key principles, right? The other problem that they have with Islam is that they don't like it when religion, in Islam, it applies to all the field. In the business, in the market, at the office, at home, in the private, in the public sector. Islam, Allah govern everything that we do in all the dimension. For some people, they say, my business is only my, I pray, I do all this, but when it comes to my business, when it comes to my profit, I want to do as I like. I want to follow my desire. So they don't want to, so this message of Islam that comes to them and start to tell, oh, there are rules, there are laws when it comes to buying. There are rules, there are laws when it comes to selling. There are rules, there are laws when it comes to giving loan to others. They don't like this, right? The people of Quraysh, what they like is God according to their wishes. Everybody have their own idols, everybody worship their own idols, and then the idols don't tell them what to do. So they like a God that is according to their desire, a God that don't tell them what are the do's and what are the don'ts. So that's why some people will not accept Islam. That's why the people of Quraysh don't want to accept this. Because submitting to Islam means submitting to the laws, submitting to the do's, submitting to the don'ts. Right? And as you can see, this come early in Islam. This come even before Rasulullah SAW is established as the leader of a country. Right? So it means the same for us. Right? We should uphold the principle of truth, the principle of justice in Islam, regardless of our position, whether we are powerful or whether we are weak, whether it's for us or whether it's against us, whether it's involving our relative or whether it's involving somebody that is not related to us. So this is...
Sodri,
Yep.
can I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does Islam permit individualism?
Okay, alright. So, talking about individualism and communalism, right? Islam is a religion that is balanced. Okay, Islam is a religion that is balanced, and you see this balance between how Islam treat the idea of communal good and individual good. So both are important. So you at the foremost, ala taziru waziratu wizra ukhra. Nobody can bear the burden of another. So that is individualism. A father cannot bear the sin of the daughter. The son cannot bear the sin of the mother. That is individualism. But how do we get success? It's all individual success. It's individual success. If you do good, you'll go to paradise and all these things. It's individual success that we are chasing. But how do we do that? By interacting in a good way with other people in the community. By praying, not just praying alone, but praying in a jama'ah. When you talk about being selfish, thinking about your personal success in this world and the hereafter, how do you achieve that? By giving charity to others, by giving zakat, by taking care of your neighbors. So there is individualism in Islam in some aspect, and there is communalism in Islam in some aspect, but you see the marriage of those two concepts. You have to be individualistic, you have to care about yourself, your iman, your taqwa, your success. But how do you do that? By doing good in the community. So individualism is a concept in Islam, but the understanding of individualism from Islamic perspective may not necessarily be the same as the understanding of the word individualism in the Western perspective, where it's all about, I want to do as I wish. I want to just follow my desire. The individualism in Islam is about taking care of others as well. Okay, so I hope that answered the question. So moving on, we talk about how this surah shows that the principle of Islam is established regardless of the situation, whether Islam is in power or whether Islam is not in power, right? So that, to a certain extent, is the introduction to this surah. Like I said, this surah will talk about some rulings related to business at the start of the surah, and it's a very important topic, and I hope that gives you a flavor of what we're about to cover. Okay, so inshallah we'll go into the surah, and today we'll cover verse number 1 until verse number 6 inshallah. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wailul lil mutaffifin alladzina idza iktalu 'alan nasi yastawfun wa idza kaluhum aw wazanuhum yukhsirun. Ala yadhunnu ulaika annahum mab'uthun liyawmin 'azim yawma yaqumun nasu lirabbil alamin. So the translation, quick translation before we go into the details. Woe, curse to those who give less than do, who, when they take a measure from people, take in full. But if they give by measure or by weight to them, they cause loss. Do they not think that they will be resurrected? For a great, a tremendous day, the day when mankind will stand before the Lord of the world. Okay, so that's a quick translation of what we will cover today. All right, so let's go into this surah. Let's take the lesson, inshallah. So this surah start with a very difficult start, a very strong start, a very hard start. It starts with the word wail. Wailun lil mutaffifin. Okay, and this word wail is a curse word. Okay, it's a word that is used for curse, and the meaning of this word, the scholars say in general it is understood to have two meanings. The first meaning is that great azab, azabun shadid, great azab, curse, destruction. And then the second meaning is that it is a valley in Jahannam. Okay, it is a valley in Jahannam. But whatever it is, the word wailun denotes destruction, denotes curse, denotes something, a great azab, azabun shadid. And if you look at this word, it does not have a specificity. You can say the curse, but here it does not have the, it does not have alif lam. So it is made open, general, curses. So that means it's something that is big, something that is unimaginable. As I said, this surah does not have any gradual build-up. It immediately goes into this, Wailul lil Mutaffifin. It's almost like a declaration, declaration of war or declaration of curse. And we have to reflect on this. It means whatever that is about to be discussed is something serious. It means that it's something that we have to pay attention to, whatever that is about to be discussed. This proclamation of curse, this proclamation of destruction is to shock you, to draw your attention, so that you can correct your action. So pay attention, right? First, this is something serious. Second, who is it that is making this proclamation? Now, if somebody, if let's say, for example, you have a kid, like like a 5-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid, and they come to you and say, I'm going to beat you up. Watch out, I'm going to beat you. You're like, oh, it's okay, just who is this kid coming to me saying that he's going to beat me up? You're not going to treat that seriously. Versus maybe if you are small kids and then your father come to you and say, you better watch out. You did something bad. When you get home, I'm gonna punish you. Right? So when you see when you have that warning, when you have that threat from your father versus from these small kids, the impact is different. You are more afraid because the threat is coming from somebody who is big. So as an example, if a ruler, a dictator were to threat his subject, they'll be very afraid. So the question is, this threat, Wailul lil Mutaffifin, from who is it coming from? Is it coming from, just a person like us? Is it just coming from a nobody? No. It comes from the Lord of the universe, Rabbul Alameen, the creator of everything, right? So this declaration, by the fact that it is coming from the creator, coming from Allah, is in itself something great. Okay? So we have to take that attention. So the next question is this, is to whom is this declaration going to? Who is this declaration going to? And by the way, when you look at the word wailun, right, this declaration of curses, destruction, this is not the first time that we encounter this. Right? Before this, we've covered this in Surah Al-Ma'un. Wailul lil musallin allazina hum an salatihim sahun. And also in Surah Al-Humazah, Wailul likulli humazatil lumazah alladhi jama'a malahu wa'addadah. So we've covered this before, and always when Allah draw our attention to curse these people, it means that whatever they are doing is something that is bad, and whatever they are doing comes from some sort of disease in the heart, which we will cover afterwards, right? So Allah say, Wailun lil Mutaffifin. So what is Al-Mutaffifin? What is Al-Mutaffifin? And the explanation of the word Al-Mutaffifin is given in verse number 2 and number 3. But before we go into verse number 2 and number 3, let's take a look at the etymology, the root of the words. Okay? The word Mutaffifin comes from the word Tafif. Okay? Comes from the word Tafif. The word Tafif means something that is very light, something that is very small. Okay? Something that is very light, something that is very small. So the word tafif also comes from the word taf. Taf means the very edge of something. So you have like something, you have the edge of something, the very edge of something. That's the word taf. Okay. So the word taf indicates something that is at the very edge, something that is at the very edge of something, and also means something that is very light, very small. And the word mutaffifin, means that somebody that give less than what is supposed to be given. It means, I'm supposed to give you 100 ringgit, I give you 99 ringgit, for example. As an example. It also means those who lighten, okay? Those who make something light. So that's the word mutaffifin, right? From linguistic perspective, okay? From linguistic perspective, that's what it means. When you see the letter mim before some verb, right? It means, it indicate the doer, okay? So like Muslim, the one who submit, right? Mu'min, the one who believe, okay? Mu'adhin, the one who give azan. So mutaffifin. So the prefix mim mu, it makes it into a doer. So this word is a plural, mutaffifin. Mutaffif is singular, mutaffifin is plural form, okay? So that's the word mutaffifin. Linguistically, so this verse number 1, wailul lil mutaffifin, destruction, curses, great azab to the mutaffifin. So what is al-mutaffifin? And here you have tafsir Quran bil Quran. So Allah gonna explain to us. Allah gonna give the meaning of mutaffifin in verse number 2 and number 3, and we're going to spend some time on verse number 2 and number 3, because this is very important and this is very relevant for all of us, okay? So once Allah give the explanation, then you don't have to go too far, you don't have to go rack your brain, try to figure out what's the meaning. In this case, Allah gonna give you the explanation in the Quran, what is the meaning of al-mutaffifin in verse number 2 and number 3. So what is al-mutaffifin? Allah says in verse number 2, Alladhina idha iktalu 'ala an-nasi yastawfun wa idha kaluhum aw wazanuhum yukhsirun. And this is talking about business transaction, selling, right? But later on, as I'm going to explain, it covers a bigger dimension than that, okay? Al-mutaffifin are those who, idha mean when, izaktalu, when they take measure, okay? When they take measure, ala nas, they take in full, okay? They take the word iktalu, the word mikyal. If you understand, mikyal is when you take measure by the volume. You count something, so you take measurement, okay? The word, you have mikyal and you have mizan, okay? Mikyal is when you take measure by volume. Mizan is when you take measure by mass, by the weight, right? But here the understanding is when they take measure from somebody, they take it in full. They take their rights. If they're supposed to get 100, they want 100. No compromise. And this is not wrong, by the way. This is not wrong. In Islam, it is not wrong for you to take your rights. Okay? It is not wrong for you to take your right. The word yastawfun is to seek, full measure. Okay, so they want the full measure, when they want their full rights when it comes to what is owed to them. And as I said, in Islam, this is not wrong. This is not wrong. But what is wrong is in verse number 3. So that's why when you read the Quran, you have to, you cannot just stop at one place. You have to finish to understand the full context. Otherwise, you might get the wrong meaning. Wailul lil musallin, and then you stop there. You didn't continue. Then that will give you the wrong answer, the wrong understanding. Wailul lil musallin allazina hum an salatihim sahun. Then you understand, oh, it's not everybody who pray, but it's those who, when they pray, they take it lightly, they don't pray properly, so on and so forth. So here, wailul lil mutaffifin allazina izaktalu ala nasi yastawfun. When they take measure, when they ask for their rights, when they do business, they buy something from somebody, they want their full rights. And again, in Islam, this is wrong, not wrong to ask for your rights. When you are oppressed, it is not wrong for you to fight against oppression. In fact, it is encouraged in Islam. You are not supposed to be afraid. You're not supposed to be scaredy cat, so on and so forth. You are supposed to be brave. You're supposed to have dignity to stand for what is right. However, what is wrong is in verse number 3. So when they want their rights, they take full. But when they give the rights of others, وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ, when they give measure, أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ, or they give weights, يُخْسِرُونَ. The word يُخْسِرُونَ, khasara, means something that is less, small. So they give less. They cause somebody to lose. Okay? So kaluhum, the word mikyal, as I said, is measure by volume. Measure by volume, by shape. Whereas wazanuhum, mizan, I think you know the word mizan, means measure by mass, by weight. So, everything is measured either by volume or by weight. Right? So this covers everything. Right? Think about that. So if they give measure, regardless in weight or regardless in volume, they cause loss. So that is Al-Mutaffifin. And there is Asbabun Nuzul associated with this. Right? There's an Asbabul Nuzul associated with this. In Madinah, there was a man by the name of Abu Juhaynah. And Abu Juhaynah, he do business. But he has two sets of measure. One set of measure he use when he want to buy and get something from other people. And then he has another set of measure that he use when he sell to other people. And the measure that he use to buy from other people is like, full measure. But when he sell to other people, he use a different set of measure that have slightly less. So maybe as an example, when he buy from somebody 1 kg, he use this measure, it is 1 kg. But when he sell, maybe that 1 kg, maybe it's 990 gram, maybe 950 gram, just as an example, right? But we know that this is one of the Asbabun Nuzul that is associated with this verse. So that is the explanation. But when you take this verse, the scholar said that understand that this verse is an example. Don't take it, I'm not doing business. I don't sell. I don't do business. I don't measure using weight, or I don't measure using volume. This does not apply to me, right? So the scholars say that this is an example. An example of what? This is an example of double standard. In the layman term, this is an example of double standard. When you want your rights, you demand your full rights. Okay? When you want to give the rights of others, you cheat. You give them less than what they should get. So this is double standard, right? And in Islam, right, this indicates that the Quran, Islam, teaches you to respect the rights of everybody. Now, when we talk about the rights, you have the rights of Allah and you have the rights of man. What is the rights of Allah? He is the one who created us. He the one who will give us sustenance. He's the one who guide us. He's the one who put the order in universe. What is his rights? To be submitted to be worshipped, to be obeyed. When he say do, do. When he say don't, don't. That is his right. But what is the right of man? What is the right between us to each other? What is the right of husband to wife, the rights of wife to husband, the right of parents to children? This is the focus of this surah. Okay? This verse number 2 and verse number 3 is talking about this. To respect the rights that we all owe to one another. Okay? We have rights. The rights of a husband, responsibility of the wife. The rights of the wife, responsibility of the husband. The rights of the parents, responsibility of the children. The rights of the children, responsibility of the parents. The rights of the trader, people who are doing business. The rights of the buyer, responsibility of the seller, and so on and so forth. So we are supposed to give everybody their due rights. But what happened, the example that is shown here, Al-Mutaffifin are those who did not respect that. They only want their rights and they overlook. In fact, they intentionally cheat. They cause loss. Okay, the word yukhsirun, it is to cause loss. And that is something that is very general, and it is to be understood in a general manner. And there are some examples that we can take about this, right? When people are doing business, at the very basic, an example is given here. When he buy, he sell, he cheats. He's supposed to give 1 kg, and maybe he gives slightly little, 950 gram. He cheats just a little. So maybe another way is by doing deception, hiding information, right? For example, you have people, they don't know their worth. They don't know their worth. They don't know the actual market price. So you take advantage of that. You give them, you pay them something that is less than the market price. You are causing loss to them. For example, we have immigrants that come and work in Malaysia, right? We have immigrants. We employ our mate from either Indonesia or some other part of the world. And some people, because these people are not represented in the society, because these people does not have the power, so they pay them less than what they are supposed to get paid. These people don't have anywhere to go. They don't know where to plead their case. So the employer take advantage of them. This is Al-Mutaffifin. You take their hard labor, but you pay them less than what they are supposed to get. So see here, you take your rights in full, but when you give their rights, which is their salary, you give less. Another example, when, for example, maybe you give a wrong valuation. You go to somebody, you see that he got some antique or something to sell, and you may be a good appraiser, you have knowledge, oh, these things is worth 10,000. But you go to the guy, you say, these things I think only worth 500 ringgit. How about I offer you 1,000 ringgit? And the guy, okay, all right, I'll buy 1,000 ringgit, that's very good. So he sell it to you, and then you go and you sell it for 10,000 ringgit or 20,000 ringgit. Again, you are using the imbalance of knowledge that you have to take and give less to others, to take more for you and to give less to others, right? Or maybe you buy something cheap because somebody is desperate. You go to somebody and he's desperate, he need the money. You know that he's desperate, so you're like, it's okay, I don't want to buy. Okay, maybe I'll buy if you give me this much discount, so on and so forth, right? And this is something that you see both from the buyer and the seller. Right? Does not mean that the only one who is cheating is the seller. Sometimes we as the buyer, we are so programmed to find a good deal to a point that it is causing loss on the other side. This is Al-Mutaffifin, right? Sometimes you have cases where you have tourists come to a place and they don't know the place, they don't know the culture, and then the local vendor take advantage of these people. The local price is maybe 10 ringgit, foreigner price is 50 ringgit. This is taking advantage of their ignorance. This is taking advantage of their weaknesses. And this is something that, again, Islam looks down upon. I want to tell you a story of Imam Abu Hanifah to illustrate a point how the people of the past do business, so that you appreciate. Because some people say, this is just ideal. People don't behave like this. People, we're looking for profit. What's wrong with profit? I want to give you a story of Imam Abu Hanifah. This is a very beautiful story. Understand it. Perhaps we can go to this level. So Imam Abu Hanifah, as you know, is one of the four scholar of Mazhab scholar, right? He is also a businessman, right? So he teaches, but he's also a businessman, and a lot of the ruling when it comes to business actually come from his mazhab, okay, because he understands business. So one time he has a store that sells stuff, sell items, and one time he has to go away from his stall for some other business. So he said to his servant, he said to his worker, he said that, take care of this stall, if somebody come, sell this item by this price, so on and so forth. Then he go for his business. So then somebody come to the stall, right? Somebody come to the stall and he look at the merchandise and he like it. He say that, I want to buy this. Okay, let's say for an example, he came to stall of Imam Abu Hanifah. Imam Abu Hanifah was not there. He said, I want to buy these things, right? In my place, so what is the price? So, for example, the servant say, this costs 100 ringgit. Just as an example, the price, this costs 100. So then this guy said, in my place, if I buy this and I sell it in my place, I can sell it for 300. So, I want to buy it from you for 200. So this is the ethics of the people of the past. They don't take advantage. Nowadays, we're like, we buy something cheap in China, we sell it expensive at other places. The people in China, they get nothing. They get minimal things. But look at how this person, he come to the stall of Imam Abu Hanifah, and then he said, this thing you're selling 100 ringgit. In my place, I can sell it for 300 ringgit. I will buy it from you for 200 ringgit. So of course, the servant of Imam Abu Hanifah said, okay, all right. I mean, like he already told the person this is 100 ringgit. The person offer 200 ringgit to buy it because he want to share the profit. Okay, so then the person left. When Imam Abu Hanifah came back and he saw, the goods is already sold and all this, and then he looked at the money. How come there's extra money? You sell this thing, there's supposed to be this many, this is the amount. So he called his servant. He said, how come there's extra money here, right? I thought I should have what, 100, 500, but that's double that's double what I'm selling. So then the servant tell, there's this guy that came, that guy offer higher price because at his place he can sell it higher. So Imam Abu Hanifah quickly take the money and chase after the guy. And then he went and said to the guy, I want to return your money. I'm selling this for 100. So the guy said, no, it's okay. I am buying it at a higher price because I know I can sell it at a higher price at my place. So what did Imam Abu Hanifah say? No, I set the price 100. I'm selling it regardless whether I'm selling it to somebody local or somebody who come abroad. Doesn't matter. This is the price I set. This is the profit that I want to make. That's it. So then, what happened, what transpired, of course, at the end of the day, they thought, so that guy returned back, Imam take back his money, and, they end up, I guess, satisfied. But imagine this happening in today's world. Can you imagine people doing that? But this is an example, an illustration of how the people of the past used to make sure, I don't want to take extra. I want to make sure that if I give extra, that's okay. I don't want to take extra. I don't want to encroach upon the rights of others. Do we do this in our life today? I don't know. I'm not a businessman, but if you look at the state of the world today, where people take advantage of other people, the rich country take advantage of the poorer country. You have low cost labor and all these things, where you have country where you have worker that is working with minimum wage, and then the people who sell them at an inflated price, taking all the profits. If you look at the example of Imam Abu Hanifah and the person who is buying from him, you can see the clear differences, right? So perhaps this is something that we can take away, right? When we deal with people, don't deal with them and take advantage of their need. Don't take advantage of their condition, their situation. This is something that we have to be aware of. And this verse, الَّذِينَ إِذَا اكْتَالُوا عَلَى النَّاسِ يَسْتَوْفُونَ وَإِذَا كَالُهُمْ أَوْ وَزَنُهُمْ يَخْسِرُونَ. When they want their rights, they take the full measure. When they give to others, they give less. They cause loss. And there's a lot of example of this, whether in the business world or whether in our daily life, right? When we work, there are people who, when they work, they write in their full time sheet. They want their full salary, but when it comes to work, they play around. Sometimes we are guilty of this as well. So we have to be aware that this is something that Allah used very strong language. Wailul lil Mutaffifin. We have to be very, very afraid of this, right? So this about businesses and cheating in businesses, you also have the story of the people of Madian. Prophet Shu'aib was sent to these people. These people also are guilty of the same crime, where they cheat the people. And what happened to them? They were destroyed. So understand that this is something that we have to observe and we have to be afraid of. Sometimes it may not necessarily be business, right? Let's talk about relationship. In a family, you have husband and wife. And we know in Islam delineate the rights of the husband and the rights of the wife. And sometimes our problem is that we tend to focus only on our rights, and we do not focus on our responsibility. And that is the discussion that you see in the world. People only talk about, my rights, and they don't talk about their responsibility. Your responsibility is to make sure that the rights you're supposed to give to others, you give it accordingly. So as a husband, you have to be careful of the rights of your wife that you have to give them. The right of clothing, kindness, kind words, all these things. And as wife, is the same thing. Your husband has rights as well. You have to observe it as well. When it comes to between parents and children, same way. We as parents, we tend to focus on our rights. You have to listen to me. You cannot speak back to me. Yeah? So on and so forth. But what about our responsibility to the children? What about their rights? Do we give our children the full measure of their rights? When we work, as an employer or as an employee, as a client or as a contractor, do we observe the rights of both parties, or do we only look to win on our side? Because that's the mentality that we tend to see. People only want to safeguard their rights, and it does not matter if it causes losses to the other party. But here Allah is saying, the word that Allah used, Al-Mutaffifin. Remember, tafif is something that is little. So imagine if Allah says, Wailul lil mutaffifin, those who cheat others by a little. What if you cheat others by 1 million? You cheat others by many millions, by thousands of dollars. Even more so then. Even more so. So this is something that we have to be aware of. And when you look into this word, Al-Mutaffifin, there's a couple of dimensions that you can take from this example. Again, remember, the scholar said that this is an example. But you have to understand it beyond this example. The dimension that is associated with Al-Mutaffifin, when they want their rights, they take full. When they give the rights of others, they give less. The first dimension is that they are stingy. These things, these examples show that they are stingy. They dalam bahasa Melayu, in Malay, berkira, rigid, stingy, right? So they count to the cents, they count to the dollars. I cannot, I must have all that is owed to me. Right? Whereas in Islam, we are taught to be forgiving. We are taught to be open-hearted. Right? Some people, I cannot forgive him even 1 cent. But Al-Mutaffifin, when it comes to that, they want full. When it comes to the right of others, they give less. Means they are very particular, too rigid, have some harshness. The other thing is that when you read this, the other dimension that is associated with this is injustice. Okay, zulm. When you take your full right and when you give less to others, what is that? That is to be unjust. To be unjust, right? And in Islam, this is wrong. You have to be just. You have to give somebody that is rightfully do what they are supposed to get. I want to draw your attention to one very famous hadith, right? I'm sure some of you have heard of this hadith before. The 3 men that were traveling, and then they took shelter in a cave. They took shelter in a cave, and then when they were asleep, a big rock came and blocked the entrance to the cave. Right? And they were trying so hard to push the rock to get out from the cave, but they cannot get out. So what did they do? They do tawassul. They plead to Allah. They say that, oh Allah, I did this, I did this, I did this. If I am sincere, oh Allah, when I did all these good deeds, please relieve us from this difficulty. Give us a way out. So there's 3 people, and each of them plead to Allah, giving an example of something good that they did, and they say, Allah, if I did these good things, because of you, sincerely for you, please give us a way out. So every time one of them make this dua, the rock move a little bit until they all manage to escape. The first one, he said, he tell his story of how he deal with his parents in a very good way. The third one give a story how he resists the temptation to do zina with his favorite cousin, even though he has the power and the opportunity to do so. But the second person is the story that I want to tell you. How this person, somebody worked for him, right? Somebody worked from him, and then before the time to give the salary back to this person, the worker left. So this person take the salary of this man and then buy a goat, and then that goat multiply. And when the other person came back to claim his salary, this person give all the goods that he bought from the original salary of this guy. And because of this, Allah accept his dua, the rock was moved. To show you, this story illustrate how important is it, to be careful when it comes to the rights of others. When you employ somebody, make sure that you pay them their salary accordingly. Or when you do buy something, make sure that you give them the full measure, right? The other dimension that is associated with this example, Al-Mutaffifin, is deceit, to deceive somebody. Somebody who do this, right? Somebody who do this, he only steal a little because he don't want to get caught, right? Now, if he steal some, if he cheat too much, people will catch it, right? If let's say, for example, you buying 1 kg, I give you 500 gram, oh, what is this? This is not 1 kg. But if I buy 1 kg from you, but I give you 975 gram, then, I will not notice. Or maybe if I notice, you can, oh, it's okay, it's just a mistake, So this is people who do this, they think they can get away with lying. They want to steal a little from everybody so that they get a big profit. So people who do this, they think that they are lies, they think that they are deceit, they think that their cheating will not get caught. Nobody is watching. People will not catch it. So that's another dimension when we talk about Al-Mutaffifin. And if again, I want to emphasize again and again, if for little things Allah is drawing our attention, what about big things? Right? If you cheat, if Allah is saying harsh word for those who cheat, who withhold the rights of others for this little amount, what about people who intentionally cheat a bigger amount? For sure, even worse. The other thing that I want to draw your attention, if you wanna take away something to take away, right? At the end of this class, you go and meet your partners, your spouse. You want to, oh, this is what I learned today. At the very least, take this. Al-Mutaffifin, in layman term, is somebody that do double standard. Double standard. This is double standard. When it comes to your rights, you want full. When it comes to somebody else, you don't care. You give less. This is double standard. Right? And Islam doesn't teach you to do double standard. Islam wants you to be fair, regardless whether it is for you or against you. Right? The very famous verse of justice in Surah Al-Ma'idah talks about be fair, that is closer to taqwa, even if it's against yourself, even if it's against your relative. And sometimes that is our problem. When people talk, oh, this is not fair, they only say that because it's not fair against them. That's our problem sometimes. I want you to think about every time people say something is unfair. Okay? Whether your children say something is unfair, whether your workers say something is unfair, whether you yourself say something is unfair, or whether some social media artists or influencers say something is unfair. Take a look. Are they saying it is unfair because it's truly unfair, or because it is unfair for them? Ask yourself, the next time you say, this is unfair, are you saying that because it is truly unfair, or you saying that because it is unfair to you, because you are the one who is being stifled? Because that's our tendency. When we are benefiting from something, we don't complain that it's unfair. when we are getting extra, we don't complain it is unfair. We only complain when somebody else get extra, we get less. Is that fair? No, in Islam, you are supposed to be fair. Don't have double standard, regardless of the situation, whether it is for you or against you. There is a story of Suraj Al-Qadi, one very, very famous Qadi in the past by the name of Suraj. So he's a very just, very fair Qadi. That's why people call him Suraj Al-Qadi, right? One time, his son came to him. So his son came to him and asked him about an opinion. Father, I have this sort of dispute, blah blah blah, right? Should I go to the judge? You know, if I go and bring my case, should I bring it to the judge? You know, will I win this thing? So Surah Al-Qadi said, yeah, go to the judge. So his son went to the judge, you know, with the other party, and then they talk about this, and then the judge rules in favor of the other person, not the son of Suraj. So then the son of Suraj went to see his father, say, Baba, you know, why do you tell me to go to the court? Don't you know that I will lose the case? So what did Suraj say? He said, yeah, I know you will lose the case. That's why I asked you to go to the court. So this is the people of the past. You know, they want to be fair regardless whether it's their family member or not. So Suraj wants his son to go to the court to ensure that he lose, so that justice is upheld. So in Islam, we're not supposed to have double standard. And Al-Mutaffifin is people who have double standard. Right? And we have to, I want to draw your attention to verse number 2, right? Alladhina idha iktalu ala nas, you know, when they take measure ala nas. So in Arab, you have either ala or li, okay, for the people or against the people, right? The word ala indicate against the people, against the people. So even in the word itself here, right, Allah is telling you that these people, when they seek their rights, you know, they are not seeking their rights just for justice. They are seeking their rights, you know, against other people, because of the advantages that they have. Understand that when you see the word ala in the Quran, in Arabic usage, you have the connotation of against, you know, against you, not for you, okay? And notice the word nas, an-nas here, the people. It does not say the believers, right? So it does not matter whether this is for the Muslim. It does not matter whether this is business dealings with the non-Muslims. Islam wants you to be fair. Islam wants you to be just. Islam wants you to ensure what is right is given to who deserve it, regardless whether it's a Muslim or non-Muslim. Here it say an-nas. It doesn't say al-Muslimin, doesn't say al-Mu'minin. It say an-nas, to the people, right? So this is something that we have to understand here, right? There is rights and there is responsibility, and both of these are balanced. Don't just think about your rights. Here Allah is telling you, don't just think about your rights. You have to think about the rights of others. Make sure that it is given. In fact, it is better for you. You know, you give a little bit extra. That is kindness. Fairness is to give what is due. Kindness is to give a little bit extra, right? And you have a lot of story of the companions of the past who are very, very particular about this, making sure that they don't eat the rights of others. The story of Umar radiallahu anhu, Umar is the second caliph, right? So one time during the night, so Umar is doing some work, and then his son came to him, and then his son says, Father, Abi, I want to discuss something with you. So then Umar said, do you want to discuss something that is related to the state, or do you want to discuss a family matter? So his son said, I want to discuss a family matter. So Umar take the lamp that he's currently using, he turn it off, not turn it off, he extinguish it, right? Not electric lamp. And then he take another lamp, and then he turn on that lamp. He light the other lamp, right? So then when the son asked, he said, okay, these are the lamp. This is the lamp. The oil come from Baitul Mal, come from the money of the state. This lamp is our lamp, our family lamp. I buy the lamp, I buy the oil by our own money. To that extent, and perhaps that's why the society of the past reach such a pinnacle when it comes to their achievement, when it comes to their taqwa, when their leader shows such a great example. Even the lamp that is using, this is family business, okay, let's turn off the lamp that I'm currently using because I was doing state business. Of course, this is the ideal, the example that our predecessor has shown to us, and we want to be like this. Okay, so this surah, talk about these cases, this thing that people do, right? Al-Mutaffifin, again, recap, people who take their rights in full, give less to others. This surah is an injunction against greed. It is an injunction against injustice. It is talking against double standard, right? And before I move on to verse number 4, I want to share a hadith, a very important, very beautiful hadith that is related to this subject matter. And this hadith, Rasulullah SAW said that you will not be a believer, you will not be a mu'min until you like for your brother, you like for your brother what you like for yourself. Okay, you like for your brother what you like for yourself. So this hadith tell you to put yourself in the shoes of your brother. This hadith tell you, to go against envy, to go against jealousy. You deal with the people like you want yourself to be dealt with. So you want to be treated fairly. You want your rights. So deal with the people and give them their full right as well. Right? Don't do double standard. Sometimes another example of double standard, we criticize people but we cannot take criticism ourselves. This is double standard. Right? So again, another thing that I want to highlight when you talk about the rights, right? You have the rights of the poor and you have the rights of Allah. Okay? What is the rights of the poor? In your property itself, there's some rights that you are supposed to give to the poor. If you go to Surah Al-Dhariyat, Surah number 51, and if you go to verse number 16, right? Verse number 19. وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. Okay, this surah, this section, Allah is talking about Al-Muttaqin. Okay, Al-Muttaqin, Al-Muhsinin, right? What are their characteristics? Al-Muttaqin, Al-Muhsinin, they used to sleep very little of the night, and in the hours of dawn they will ask for forgiveness. And from their properties, they have the rights of the people who ask and the people the poor people who don't ask. So I want you to expand your mind when we talk about our rights and our responsibility, even within our property, even within our money, resides some rights of others. Allah give within our money something that is supposed to be given to others. So we are supposed to do that. We're supposed to give charity. We're supposed to give zakat. Don't withhold. Don't be stingy when it comes to this matter. And when we talk about the rights of Allah, are we stingy with our time? When we pray fast. Pop, finish. Allah doesn't ask us for a lot. 5 times a day, maybe 5 minutes every time. But do we properly? Do we pray like chicken? Up down. Ibn Mas'ud said that related to this. This is commentary from Ibn Mas'ud. He said that prayer is a measure. Prayer is a measure. So the word measure, remember we were talking about measure here in this verse. Kaluhum, measure, mikyal. Iktalu, when they take measure, or when they give measure, kalu. So Ibn Mas'ud said, relating to this verse, he said that prayer is a measure. Whosoever completes his measure, God will complete the reward for him. And whosoever lightens the measure, well, you heard what Allah said about Al-Mutaffifin. So that was the commentary of the saying of Ibn Mas'ud. He associated the word Mutaffifin with prayer, lightening your prayer, not taking it seriously. So, wallahu alam. Okay. So, as I said, don't take this verse just in the context of business. Take this verse in everything that we do. Do we give people their due rights? As a husband, as a wife, as a children, as a parent, as a worker, as an employer, as an employee, as a leader, as a follower, as a seller, as a buyer. Do we only think about our rights? Do we only fight for injustice when it is against us? Do we practice double standard? So this surah is an injunction, a criticism, a warning, a threat against all that. Okay? So, then let's move on to verse number 4 and verse number 5 and verse number 6. When Allah tell you of his threat, and when Allah tell you of a disease, Allah will also tell you of the cure. Okay? And the Quran is like that. It comes, it tells you of something bad, it tells you of the disease, then it comes with a cure. So here, after we went through the first 3 verse and we are scared, right? Hopefully we are in the state of mind where, man, I think I might be guilty a little bit of this. So now we go to the cure, inshallah, right? We go into the cure. So to go into the cure, first we have to understand the root cause. Why is it that people behave like this? Why is it that people do these things? So Allah is telling us in verse number 4, verse number 5, right? This is the reason why people do this. Now, after this, I want you to go into this in the Quran, right? In Juz Amma, there is 4 instances where Allah used the word while. Okay? Here in this surah, there's 2 instances. Wailul lil mutaffifin, and later on wailul lil mukazzibin, which we will cover in future session. And previously in surah Al-Humazah, wailul likulli humazatil lumazah. And then wailul lil musallin allazina hum an salatihim sahun. And I want you to see the same pattern. Allah tell you the people who are getting the threat, the people who Allah is saying to them great azab, great punishment, the curse of Allah. Allah tells you what is the things that they do, and Allah tells you what is the root cause of their behavior, the disease of the heart that is causing them to do this. And understanding the disease of the heart, you can cure it yourself, inshallah. Okay? So Allah says about these people, Allah, Allah is istifham, is an article of question. So do not, it's a negative question, right? Allah can means an offer. What is your opinion, right? What is your opinion? Or it can means a negative question. It's not, isn't it, right? Isn't it? So Allah say, ala yazunnu ulaika annahum mab'uthun. These people, don't they think that they will be resurrected? Okay, don't they think that they will be resurrected? Liyawmin azim, to a great day. The word yazunnu is a very interesting word in Arabic because it means two things. And depending on the context, it can mean one thing or it can mean the other thing. So you have to understand the context of the words. You have to see and in some part of the Quran, it can mean both. And understanding both meaning actually enriches your understanding of that particular verse. In Surah Al-Haqqah, but we covered that before, but inshallah we'll cover that later, right? So the word yazunnu, the word zon can mean two things. The first meaning is sure. Are they not certain? Certain. Okay, the word zon can mean certainty, certain. The other meaning is thinking, not certain, right? Do they think? So when they think, mean it's not certain. They think maybe not, maybe not, right? So that is the word zon. Or it can also mean certainty, right? When it comes to knowledge, right? When it comes to knowledge in Islam, you have yaqeen, you have zon, you have shak, and you have waham, and then you have taqlid. Okay? When it comes to knowledge, there's these 5 things. You have yaqeen, you have zon, you have shak, you have waham, and you have taqlid. Yaqeen is 100%. Okay, 100%. You're sure, 100%. So I think we all understand this. Zon means that you 80% sure, 20% not sure, maybe. So your certainty is more than 50%. So that's the meaning of the word zon. Okay, and zon is acceptable in Islam. Sometimes when you do your deeds, it does not. It can be based on zon. Okay, it can be based on zon. Like for example, you pray, you think that you still have wudu. You are 80% sure you have wudu. 20% not sure. So it's okay, right? So zon is accepted. Okay. Then you have shak. Shak is 50-50. You're not sure. 50-50. Then you have waham. Waham is 20% sure, 80% not sure. So waham is like very unsure. And then taqlid. Taqlid is to do something without even having knowledge. Follow blindly. Anyway, so I just want to share this to broaden your understanding of the terminology when it comes to knowledge in Islam. Okay, you have yaqeen, 100% sure. You have zon, 80%, 80-20. You have shak, 50-50. You have waham, 20-80. When it comes to the matter of Akidah, you must be 100% sure, yaqeen. Cannot be zon or shak, so on and so forth, right? So every one of these have their usage. But here, the word zon, do they not think? Are they not sure? So you can remember I said this verse, the word zon can means both. And normally when you see zon in the Quran, when it is talking about the believer, it means certainty. When it's talking about the disbeliever, it means doubt and uncertainty. So for example, I'll show you some example, right? If you go to the word zon, when it talks about the people who believe, mu'minin, allazina yadhunnuna annahum, translation here, those who are certain that they will meet their Lord and they will return to him. This is talking about believer. The word is the same, zon. They are certain. And in verse number in Surah Baqarah 78, وَمِنْهُمْ أُمِّيُّونَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا أَمَانِيَّ وَإِنْهُمْ إِلَّا يَظُنُّونَ. And among those who are unlettered, who do not know the scriptures and indulge in wishful thinking, they are only guessing, they are only assuming. This is talking about the people of the book who don't really know their religion. And if, let's say for example, Surah Al-Inshiqaq, last week we talked about Surah Al-Inshiqaq, the people who get their book by their left hand. Innahu dhanna alla yahur. Okay, he thought that he will never return. He thought that he will never return. So then this is talking about the disbelievers, right? Here Surah Al-Jin, verse this is talking about the jinn who believe, okay, the mu'min, the Muslim jinn, okay. Wa anna dhananna an lan nu'jiza Allah fil ardi wa lan nu'jizahu haraja. We become certain that we can never cause failure to Allah in this earth or escape him by flight. So you see how the word zon can mean guessing, not certain, or it can mean certain. So this is something, you know, Arabic language is something that is very beautiful, very interesting. This is just an example. So that's why sometimes when people want to interpret, want to understand the Quran, you have to understand the context. You have to understand the usage of the word. You cannot just pick it, open dictionary and come up with your own interpretation, right? So even some words, it can have two meanings that can be opposite of one another, like the word zon here, right? So Allah tell us, back to verse number 4. So what is the reason for these people that they do these deeds? Why is it that they eat the rights of others? Allah says, Ala yazunnu ulaika annahum mab'usun. Don't they think, are they not sure that they will be resurrected? Are they not sure that they will be resurrected? And that is the root cause of this disease. Okay? Because they have the disease of shubhah, they have the disease of doubt, they do not believe that they will return, they have no certainty that they will be resurrected. And Allah used the word ulaika. Ulaika, you have haula and you have ulaika. Ulaika means those but far away. Haula is those but near. So even by the usage of the word ulaika, it indicates these people are far away from the rahmat of Allah, far away from the mercy of Allah, far away in their being astray, far away from the guidance of Allah, because they have no certainty, they are doubtful about the resurrection. And remember we talked earlier, when we talk about Akidah, the three pillars, you know, Tauhid, Risalah, and Ba'ath, Al-Akhirah, the resurrection, right? If you don't believe in resurrection, if you don't believe in Al-Mizan, that your good deeds will be weighed against bad deeds, then you do whatever, all you will do is for the profit of this world. All you will do for the profit of this world, right? So these people, you know, don't have the certainty. And also, when Allah used the word yazunnu ulaika annahum mab'uthun, does not necessarily mean the non-Muslim, okay? Because they are Muslim as well, who behave as if they are not certain that the day of judgment is there, okay? The word yazunnu can also mean, again, like I said, certainty. It means ya'lamu, you know, ya'lamu. It also addressed the mu'min. Because sometimes the mu'min, they know, but they behave as if they don't know. They behave as if they're not sure. Because if we are sure that we will be resurrected, if we are sure Allah is watching, if we are sure that Allah knows what we do, then why is it that our action does not reflect that? So this question, don't just, okay. Again, when we read the Quran, don't read it as if it is addressing somebody else. This is the word of Allah, supposed to come, enter your ears, goes into your heart, and the action is reflected in your body. So don't read the verse number 2, number 3. Oh, this is talking about business people. I'm not doing business. I go to work. I take salary. This is not applicable to me. No. It's applicable to us. We have to think and reflect. When we read this word, ala yazunnu ulaika annahum mab'usun, don't go, this is talking about the kuffar. This is talking about the mushrik of Quraysh. This is not applicable to me. I believe. Yes, we believe, but do we act accordingly? Because action is the mirror of our belief. So sometimes we believe, we say we know, but our action does not reflect that. So Allah is asking us, are they not sure? Or you believers, when you do this, are you not sure about the day of judgment? Are you not sure that you will be resurrected? Is that why you are behaving like this? Is that why you oppress others? Is that why you eat the rights of others? Are you not sure? Is it only a guess? So we have to read this, and we have to do muhasabah, and we have to check our hearts, In this question, is a cure. Is the cure for the disease, right? So remembering the day of judgment, remembering your death, remembering al-akhirat is a protection, a prevention against committing transgression against Allah, against committing transgression against other people. Okay? So the cure to the disease of Al-Mutaffifin is by remembering. Looks like the computer is stuck. Sorry, technical problem. Are we back? We are back. We are back. Sorry, technical problem just now. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Alright, we are back. Sorry. My computer got stuck just now. So where was I? Was talking about the cure, right? Was talking about the cure, how this question is a cure against the disease of Al-Mutaffifin, right? One of the best cure that Allah is telling us, by remembering the day of judgment, by death, by remembering that every choices that we do have consequences, that Allah is watching. This is the cure for us against injustice, to do injustice to others, right? A lot of the problem of the people, why they do bad things, why they do injustice and all these things, is because they don't believe, or at least their iman is down at that time, right? Okay, all right. So Allah says for us, so we have to take this thing, this cure, right? And when you read the other surah, right, like surah Wailul lil Musallin allazina hum an salatihim sahun, then Allah say allazina hum yura'un. So that's the disease in the heart. Normally you will see when verse that is talking about, at least in Juz Amma, the verse that is talking about Wailul lil Mutaffifin or Wailul lil Mukazzibin, Wailul lil Musallin, Wailul lil Humazati Lumazah, there's always the action that is associated with it, and there is something associated with the disease of the heart that is causing people to do that. The people who pray but are negligent about their prayer, the disease in the heart is riya, allazina hum yura'un. The people who do mocking and scorning others, wailul likulli humazatil lumazah, allazi jama'a malahu wa'adadah, yahsabu anna malahu akhladah. The disease in the heart is that they think their wealth is everything. They think that their wealth will make them powerful, will make them forever. So, as a homework, when you're done with this class, go back and read all these verses that have this wailul lil mukazzibin, wailul lil mutaffifin, wailul lil musallin, wailul likulli humazatin lumazah. Take a look. What are the disease that Allah is telling you, and what are the cure, so that you do not belong in these people? And in this surah, as far as Al-Mutaffifin, the cure is to always remember the day of judgment. Okay, to reflect on it. Make sure that it affects your heart. Make sure that you remember that whatever you do, whatever rights that you take from others, it will be accounted for in the day of judgment. There is a hadith that is related to this. One time Rasulullah SAW asked his companion, Man muflis? Man muflis? Who is it that is bankrupt? Muflis. We have the word muflis as well. Muflis is Arabic. We have the word as well in Malay. Who is it that is bankrupt? Who is it that is muflis? So the companion answer, he who have no dinar or no dirham. I mean, that's our answer as well. People who have no money, then he's muflis, bankrupt. So Rasulullah SAW correct their conception, correct their concept. Rasulullah SAW said, no, the person who is muflis is the person during the day of judgment, right? During the day of judgment, he's in front of Allah and all these things, and then he come with his good deeds. But then somebody came to him, and then somebody said that, this guy take my rights back on earth, he take my rights. So then Allah says, take from this person good deeds and give it to the other person. And then other person come, and then, this person eat my rights. Okay, take from this person good deeds, give it to that person. Until that person is left with no good deeds, and then still people come and say, this person take my rights. So now, he no longer have any good deeds to be given to these people who are making the claim on the day of judgment. So Allah say, take the bad deeds from the person who is claiming his right and give it to this guy. So that are the muflis. He may do good things in this world, do charity and all these things, but he eats the rights of others. On the day of judgment, he have to give all his good deeds to other people, and on top of that, still not enough, he has to take the bad deeds of other people given to him. So this is muflis. What happened? What causes this to happen to him? Because he eat the rights of others. So be very, very careful. When it comes to the rights of Allah, Allah can forgive and Allah will cover. When it comes to the right of the people, it will be accounted for. So, we have to be careful about that. So Allah say, Ala yazunnu ulaika annahum mab'uthun liyawmin azim. Don't they think, are they not sure that they will be resurrected to a great day? And Allah say, Yawmin azim. We know this is the day of judgment, right? We covered this before. This is one of the pillar of faith. Here Allah say, it's a great day. It's a great day. Now, when it comes to language, you have to understand the concept of relative. When somebody who is poor say somebody is rich, maybe he's a little bit rich. But when somebody who is rich say that person is rich, that means that person is really, really rich. If a 5 years old come, and said, that guy is strong, that is according to his capacity. This guy is strong. But if a strong man tell you this guy is strong, then that means that guy is really, really strong, right? So when a person say, this guy is smart, okay, he's smart. But when the smart people say this guy is smart, that means he's a genius. So language depend on who use it, right? Language depend who use it. If I say somebody is rich versus Rafizi Ramli say somebody is rich, then it's a different thing. Or whoever, like Bill Gates or Elon Musk or whosoever that is rich nowadays, it's different. So when Allah say this is a great day, that means this is something unimaginably great. We cannot comprehend. And we covered in the previous surah, Surah Al-Inshiqaq, right? How the sky will split. We covered in surah, we talked about how the earth will be made flat, how the mountains will be made crumbled. In future surah, this Surah Al-Mutaffifin reside in a very interesting place. Okay, it reside between Surah Al-Inshiqaq, it reside between Surah At-Takwir and Surah Al-Infitar. And Surah At-Takwir, Surah Al-Infitar and Surah Al-Inshiqaq all is talking about the Day of Judgment. Look it up after this. Okay, all this Surah Al-Mutaffifin is in an interesting placing. It is surrounded by these 3 surah that is talking about the situation, the condition of the Day of Judgment. And the picture that Allah is telling us, this painting to us, shows that this is an unimaginable day. The stars is falling, the sea is boiling, the earth is shaking, the sky is cracking. So this is a great day, unimaginably great. And again, who is saying this is a great day? Allah. Allah is the one who says. It's not anybody. This is the creator of the world, So when he say this is a great day, something unimaginable. Allah say, "Yauma yaqumun nasu li rabbil alamin." What is great about this day? What is scary about this day? It is the day yaqumun nas, all of mankind, from Adam until today, until the Day of Judgment, all of us will be standing on this day. And the word standing, yaqumuna, how many of us have to stand for a very long time? Maybe we have to go to queue to get something. How long? What's our record? The longest time we have to stand. Think about it. 1 hour? 2 hours? How long is it that we have? How long have we stand without sitting, without resting? The most, maybe a couple of hours, maybe. But on this day, we will be standing for a very, very long time. Some say the day is 50,000 years, some say 1,000 years, some say 300. Wallahu alam. How long will we be standing on this day? Right? There is a couple of hadith that is related to the nature of our standing before the God. One hadith say that Rasulullah SAW said, the people will be submerged in perspiration, mandi peluh, okay, according to their deeds. Some up to their knees, some up to their waist, some will have a bridle of perspiration, at which the Prophet pointed to his mouth, right? Other narrations say people will be standing in their perspiration up to the middle of their ears. So that day, we all will be standing. And where we'll be standing? In front of Allah. Li Rabbil Alameen. Imagine that. It's beyond imagination. Imagine a place, time, where everybody will be standing, every one of us, how many billions of people, all the angels will be lined up. We are waiting for our turn to be going through hisab, to go through the Siratul Mustaqim, to know our final destination, whether we are successful and enter paradise. And we make dua, insyaAllah, that we belong with the people who are given their books by their right hand. Or will we be unsuccessful? Will we be loser and be given the book from our back with our left hand? We make dua so that we are protected from these people. Okay, so with that, we come almost to the end of this session, right? And before we go, a quick recap of what we covered in this session. This surah Makkiyah, is toward the tail end of Meccan period, very early phase of Madinah period. This surah, gives some rulings about business, economy, but it is applicable to a lot of things. And we talk about why, even though Rasulullah SAW is not made the leader of Madinah yet, is not in the position of power yet, even when Islam is not powerful, it still want to talk about the principle. It still want to ensure that you uphold justice. It still want to make sure that you follow your rights, give the rights of others, and honor your responsibility. It teaches us all this even when Islam is weak, even when you is still in Makki period. This verse came, and we talk about Al-Mutaffifin, the people who, when it comes to their rights, they want everything. When it comes to the rights of others, they cheat. And the simplest understanding to summarize this, take this word, double standard. Okay, double standard. You want, when it comes to you, you want to win, you want everything to be right. When it comes to others, you don't care, you don't do that. So Islam teaches us not to do this. And in a very strong word as well, wailun lil mutaffifin. Okay, and we talk about how this is coming from Allah. So for us, we should not take it lightly. And we talk about the cure as well. We talk about the cure. You know, the reason why people do this is because they don't have the certainty, the disease of shubhah. They're not certain about the day of judgment, right? They think they're not sure that they'll be resurrected again. Ala yadhunnu ulaika annahum mab'usun. Okay, so the cure for us, you know, to be fair, to be just, is to always keep this in our mind, that we, whatever we do, we be resurrected and we will be standing in front of Allah. Very, very scary. Yauma yaqumun nasu li rabbil alamin. We'll be standing in front of Allah. There is no escape. So don't chase for the small profit of this world. Chase for the enduring profit and treasure of the hereafter. Al-Mutaffifin, the word tafif come from very small, very little. Sometimes people cheat others to get a very small profit. But we Muslim need to be looking at the bigger picture. We are not chasing mere ringgits. We're not chasing mere $100, mere small profit. We are chasing for the enduring Jannah, the enduring rewards, the enduring pleasure of Allah. Okay, and we make dua that we are protected from this disease. We make dua that we are given the strength and the guidance to follow the Quran, to appreciate the teaching, and to be a better Muslim, insyaAllah. Okay, so, and if there's anything good, it's from Allah. If there's anything that is wrong, any mistakes, it's from my own weaknesses, and I hope that, you know, Allah will cover that with His forgiveness. And we come to the end of our session. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Another announcement before we close this class. Next week we will not have class because I'll be away, but we will resume again, insyaAllah, after that. So next week there's no class. Okay. Alright, thank you very much. I appreciate your attendance, and insyaAllah hopefully we can continue again to do this with istiqamah. Subhanakallah bihamdik, asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal asri, innal insana lafi khusri illa allazina amanu wa amilus salihati wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Assalamualaikum.